They worked very hard at trying to change that. It has not. There still is not that requirement. Give you how far the profession has come. Another story, another day. There were exclusionists who thought only federal historians should be included in the society. There were inclusivists who thought that a broader group should be included, and the inclusivists won the day. That's why I came along, and because the organization became actually not. It was not the society originally. It was called, and as a deference to the National Council, it was called the Council for History in the Federal Government. The name to the society did not. Was not until 1980. Now we get to the dues part. Dick Hewlett and I had talked about this, about the dues for the society, and we thought $100 would be a good idea. You should have seen the faces on the federal historians around the table. They could not have blanched anymore. Dues for the council then came out at $10. So when the National Council struggled with what the dues structure should be, I pulled out the old $100 again, and everybody sat around the table, and maybe Dick or somebody said, "Yeah, good idea," and mirabile dictu, it was accepted. We were all pretty surprised, actually, but the idea of the council not being a membership organization initially, it was sort of structurally modeled on maybe the American Council on Learned Societies. It was supposed to be groupings. We in the end we thought that the $100 was a really good idea, and I think it helped with the financial underpinning of the organization, and it actually made people who wanted to do it more committed. You know, put your money where your mouth is, and it did show a higher degree, I think, in retrospect, a higher degree of commitment and involvement. And by the end of the meeting in Pittsburgh, in the spring of 1980, April of 1980, much of this organizational structure had been worked out with the council, and we dues structure, and the organization had, at least for a young organization, some financial stability. I think we probably had $2,500 or so in the bank initially. I think there were 23 or 25 people putting money in, and they were pretty good about it. At the same time, the Society had appointed this, or the self-appointed steering group, of which I was a member, and by the fall, we had become the Society for History in the Federal Government, and quite consciously avoiding the public history terminology, and both organizations were on their way. What I think was critical to the success of the National Council on Public History, absolutely critical, I was going to use, was the public historian. The publications of those two, the publication of the Federalist for the Society for History in the Federal Government and the public historian, were the glue that held those groups together. I think you mentioned, Lindsay mentioned before, the internet and email and such. Publications were extremely important. And I was almost was going to use the phrase that the public historian was the tail that wagged the dog, but now after that story from Wes, which I'd never heard before, I guess I won't use that. But it bonded together. Those publications bonded together both a disparate and sometimes desperate groups of historians. Both organizations were the product of the ferment of the times. High unemployment rate, a general feeling of mainstream rejection, a youthful disregard of the status quo, and an enthusiasm and eventually commitment to something new. None of these were reasons for the ultimate success, in my opinion, of the organizations. There had to be a transition, a passing of the torch to those not imbued with the same zeal and purpose of those at the creation. And a testament to every successful revolution, though I think it would be fair to say both organizations evolved rather than revolted, is that take place that this transition ensures its success. Both organizations have faced similar problems over the years in membership recruitment. Remember the fears created by the book Bowling Alone for every membership group, and things were dropping off several years ago, by problems of purpose, direction, and leadership. Both sailed through some rough and organizationally uncharted waters and have emerged, I think, generally wiser and, if not always, stronger for that journey. I believe this is especially true at NCPH. While I see it now, and have not been active recently, I see it now primarily as an academically oriented professional group. It has recently reopened its interests in our original intent 30 years ago to be more broadly based. The numbers of historians attending this conference, nearly 600, is a testimony to the organization's leadership and its staff. And John's here, and I say it anyway. I'm very pleased with what has gone on in the organization. I'm proud of what John's accomplished, proud of what the National Council on Public History Board has allowed him to accomplish. Transition to a new generation in this organization seems successful, and so I think I hope the next generation of the NCPH will be assured. And now, for us who consider ourselves artifacts, we're apparently only needed to reveal the past. Thank you.